All right. Hey, welcome to this episode of Life on the Streets, the greatest show on earth podcast hosted by ADB Training. I'm your host, Rick,
I'm Tom.
and we have some special guests today that we'll introduce here in just a second. Very excited. Should be a lot of fun. But first, it's time for that tomfoolery moment. So, Tom,
Uh-huh.
what would you say is one of your best talents that nobody knows about?
Ooh, cooking. I'm an
Nobody.
excellent.
So, does
I'm an
anybody in your house
excellent.
eat?
Yeah,
So somebody knows about it.
nobody else does though. I'm an
Oh
excellent
man.
cook.
See,
That's
it's
actually a really good technique there because
yeah, that's that cop in him. Nobody is actually ambiguous. So, all right.
And that was an easy one. I like that one.
Yeah, okay. You took the easy way out. Okay. All right. Well, hey, we have special guests today. We have the owners of Eclipse Holsters. We have Jessica and Joseph, and welcome.
thank
And
you.
hey, sort of just kind of tell the audience about yourself, what you're doing, and who you are.
Go for it. I don't know. Well, I'm the Jessica of Jessica and Joseph. We own Eclipse Holsters. We are at the end of our 13th year, where we accidentally started making holsters and turned it into a company. So,
So, okay, how do you accidentally make holsters? I mean,
well,
you're
we
just walking one day and you're just doing it and you don't know why?
tripped right over it. No. Well, we can jump right into how it started if you want. Yeah.
No, no, no. Tell us
Okay.
about, yeah, tell us about
Yeah.
yourself a little bit more, though. I didn't
Okay.
mean to
Yeah.
interrupt you. I
Yeah.
just,
No, that's all right. Yeah. So I um, get to own three companies with my best friend. We have been married for 28 years. We are high school sweethearts who have gotten through 28 years of marriage. I have four adult children who looks like we got to raise our favorite people. So I'm in the stage of motherhood that doesn't feel like motherhood anymore. I've just got friends. I love to travel. And then I would say the other side of me that most people do know, it's pretty obvious, but I was born loving space, loving everything NASA, the moon, the stars. That's why when I started a company, I named it Eclipse Holsters. It had to be space related. All of the products are some kind of space tie. The background of the website is the surface of the moon. Our kids have astronaut middle names. I pretty much nerd out on everything space. So that is my passion. And if I had a dream, it would be to be the first woman to walk on the moon.
awesome.
Yeah, so I tie it into everything I can, and any little I've drug him through the Kennedy Space Center probably more times than he's ever wanted. We've seen launches, we've framed whole trips around how do we get back to Florida, and then in my spare time I make holsters. So
Well, of course you do.
yeah,
It's just a
exactly,
given now.
obviously, yeah.
It's just a given.
Yeah, yeah. So that's just a little snapshot of me. I'll send it to my best friend.
Yeah, obviously you sort of paired us together as far as we've been together, I think more of our life than we've been apart. And now I'll preface that because, as you guys know, in law enforcement and other things, whatever, it seems like we end up spending more time apart than our significant other than we do with it. But yes, both born and raised in Alaska, dated each other all the way through high school. I went into the military. And right out of the military, I got hired on with the state troopers up there in Alaska. And I was a state trooper there for almost 15 years. And as it was ramping up, probably between that 10 to 15 year mark, obviously the height of the war was breaking off, whatever it is. And I had some, I'm sure maybe even you guys had some connections with military contracting and stuff like that. I think my first inception with Blackwater was with Hurricane Katrina. And they said, hey, we're looking for law enforcement. You guys can come down here for 30 days. And I think they paid me $1,000 a day for 30 days when we were down there for Katrina, and I sort of double dipped. And that was sort of my first little wedding of the beak as far as in contracting. And surprisingly, the two of us always had this little drawer underneath in our bedroom. This is back before the internet, and you actually had to mail off to whatever the local communities were, and you would get a visitors packet, and in it would have pictures of the schools and the demographics of those particular places. because we wanted to live somewhere outside of Alaska. And so luckily I had the opportunity as far as to be able to go into contracting. And so we broke away from Alaska, came over here to Virginia, and I went into contracting all about the same time that we were doing the Eclipse holsters, what we would call as a side hobby at the time, whatever it was. And then that went on for about 5 or 6 years that I was deploying overseas. And then I came back and quit that job, sort of went all in on the business. And then here we are 13 years later. Just overnight successes. No, not at all. But
We're not even successes yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I preface it like marriage. It's more of like just like a zigzag up and down, whatever it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
Kind of messy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's a fascinating story. So now, I got to ask though, how do you accidentally make holsters?
Yeah. Yeah. So his being in law enforcement and, all the activities that he was doing, we had guns in our home, but as an Alaskan, surprisingly, I didn't ever touch one or really want to have anything to do with them. And so when our kids got older, I felt like, and he was actually deploying much more. I thought, we've got these guns. I don't want to touch it, but could it explode on its own while it was sitting in the corner with nobody touching it? Like, I just wanted to know the safety side of it. So I started asking him questions and saying, I'm not really comfortable not knowing, but I also don't need to touch them. So he was a firearms instructor. I mean, I think he maybe spent 20 years doing that, but he thought, well, let me take you to the range and let's start talking about safety. And I just wanted to know how to take it apart and, and he took me to a range and I freaking loved shooting. And I did not know that I loved shooting. I giggled and I loved it. I fell in love with it. And so it surprised me completely. So then for Christmas, he bought me the M&P Shield. I think this was 14 years ago. And I got so excited to have a gun, and we went to the range and I said, well, I got to get a holster because I want to be able to, shoot from the holster, from the hip. And so I went online to buy a holster and brand new gun, and nobody was making holsters for this gun. Finally, I found a company. The guy said, I'll make it for you. So I ordered, and he said it's a 4-month wait. And I said, okay, done, ordered it. And then I think within 3 days, I was like, what in the world? Why in the world does it take 4 months to make a holster? And why? And I was like, he said he was making it. How do you make a holster? Why does it take 4 months? So I'm starting to say this out loud. Well, within a week, I finally got on on YouTube, and I was like, how do you make a holster? And then I watched all these videos, and I think I watched just hours and hours and hours. And it was somebody in their tiny apartment using a toaster oven and something called Kydex that I had no idea what it was. And I watched enough, and I said to him, I think I'm going to try to make a holster. And he's like, absolutely not. Because the gun guy, and he's like, so I just kept pressing, and I said, no, I really think I can do this. So I found all the places to order parts, and my first holster cost $1,000 because I had to buy a sander and a toaster and stuff for rivet prep. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was certain that I could make a holster faster than this guy said he could make it in 4 months. And I just wanted a holster, and I did it. And he said it was the ugliest thing he'd ever seen.
It's like coming from scene of Frankenstein where he's coming alive, and I was looking at it going, oh, trying to be proud of her, but the same token going, let's not show any of our friends what you're doing right now.
Yeah, but everybody wants one because it's like those ugly dogs. Everybody wants
one. Right, yeah. Yeah.
So I always say the story. I kept on sending her back down into the basement, pat her on her back and say, let's go try that one more time, whatever it is. And she kept on doing that to the point where the product ended up being something that I would want to wear. Right. And
and I think that's the accident, was that I just wanted a holster. I really just wanted to go back to the range. I did not want a business. Never on the radar. And also at the time, I had an M&P Shield, but I thought I had a Glock because I thought every gun in the world was a Glock. Doesn't everybody just have a Glock?
Yeah, okay.
Also not the case. So
yeah, Smith & Wesson and Glock, not really the same.
I'm telling you, the list of what I didn't know was so massive that I had no business doing anything. But I canceled the order with the first guy, never got the holster because I made mine way faster. And yeah, he took one in the
Yeah,
right.
just one thing led to another. Of pretty soon you have a friend saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, where'd you get that?"
How'd you get
Well,
that? Yeah.
and it's I'm sure you guys being from a law enforcement standpoint, the cliche of like my wife makes these is sort of like she makes brownies or something like that, right? Here we are in the tactical setting, whatever it is. Like, hey, where'd you get that? You sort of like scratch the back of your head, like coffee, like my wife makes them or something like that, right? Like there's a whole cliche of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think back to that movie Wild Hogs. Did you ever see that?
We have not seen that.
Okay, so Wild Hogs, it's got John Travolta and um,
Tim, what's his name?
Tim Allen and
Tim
all these guys, but they're like this little wannabe. They're a
Oh,
motorcycle
biker
club.
gang.
Well,
Yeah.
they're not a gang, but they're a biker club, right?
Sure.
But they wear leathers and they have the rockers, and they're in this biker bar. And somebody points out, "Where'd you get your rockers?" And one of them has to say, "His wife made them for us."
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
that pretty much sums that up. Right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, you're sort of like really sort of barely leading that out there, but the good friends were pretty soon they were like, "Oh, will you make me want to do this?" And so that's really where I hate to use the word business stem from, but she ended up making so many that's when my wheels started turning. I said, "Oh, maybe we could turn this into a little side hustle." And to what we thought of a side hustle was just like, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool?" Because the kids were in school. And she had these hours in between the day, between picking them up and dropping them off, of like, oh, we can make a little extra cash, whatever, here and there. And so she ventured off into doing that. And we actually did this thermostat, like an old fashioned fundraiser thermostat. We said we could sell 100 holsters to complete strangers or to turn it into a business. And sure enough, we still have it hanging in our shop in the original one. And it took a little over a year for her to sell 100 holsters to complete strangers. And we thought we had just hit the jackpot, and we're like, we're going to turn this into a business. Now you're looking at two people with high school diplomas and no business sense whatsoever. And so, what do you do in those circumstances? You're like, well, let's turn it into a business. And then we looked at each other about as dumb as we looked at each other. How do you build a holster?
Yeah.
And then the cycle just keeps on turning over and over and over again as you sort of evolve this thing. And to where we're at today. And so just little by little, it ended up happening. So
That's awesome. So I can tell you without a doubt, okay, that you're doing something right, because I actually have one that I
Oh, all right.
that I carry all the time.
For a real clock.
Yeah.
Or the actual clock.
It's a Glock 43.
Yeah,
That's right. But I carry this all the time. And
Awesome.
this is probably my favorite holster. And I'm not just saying that because you're on our show. I'm saying that because it's true. I actually really, really like this holster. It's, I was pleasantly surprised when I got it,
Thank you.
yeah, which kind of, he's like,
He won it.
I didn't buy it.
You want it.
I want it. But I was pleasantly
It's
surprised,
like, oh, this thing's kind of cool.
because I'll be honest with you, I hadn't heard of Eclipse holsters until I won it.
Yeah.
And then when I won it, when you win something, you're always like, that's going to go in your closet. You kind of throw it there. But I put my gun in it and wore it around for a day, and I was like, wow, I like this. It's comfortable. It doesn't print. I was blown away, and it secures my weapon really well, right? Which is what you want, right? So you guys are absolutely doing something right, and it comes in OD green. I mean, what cop doesn't want OD green, right? And you have all these other funky colors, right?
Yeah.
Which I was really worried would be the one I won. So,
It's interesting. I don't know if it was a raffle or what, some of these things, these fundraisers that we send these things off to, the people that are usually heading it up, they always are asking us, no, I want this thing to be really funky and fun, and never colors that are just like standard out there, whatever it is. So who knows what you probably would have seen out there.
yeah, I just didn't want to send anybody into like an epileptic shock thing.
Sure.
So, but no, I love this gun, which brings me to a question, and maybe you can answer this too. 'Cause
Okay.
we've talked about this. Do you only make appendix holsters? Because here's the question I'm asking. So this appendix holster, I love your locking mechanism, by the way you lock it in, because so we had an issue, and we're going to talk about that one day with a
Oh, we can
prior.
talk about it here.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
With a prior holster I
'Cause
had.
I think this would do much better than that holster.
Oh, absolutely. So here's the deal. So appendix holsters. Okay. I went to appendix holsters not too long ago. I was very old school. Okay. And I always did the in the pant, but it was usually on the side, right? Um, or sometimes it would be a pancake holster on the outside, So I was very old school on that. And then I got sort of intrigued. Everybody kept telling me you should do the appendix holster. So I'm like, okay. So I started to do it. I got this other holster, and it has the typical belt clipping on it, right? So we're at the range and we're doing our quals, and so
I already know where this one's going.
oh yeah. So I got it in my appendix carry position, right? And everybody's on the line, and
He drew quick.
oh holy shit! So they,
All of it.
timer goes, it's time to go. I draw my gun. I come up, and I've got a holster and everything on my gun, and I have to come up on target, pull the holster off, fire my rounds, right? Put the holster back on and put it in my pants. And not once,
Oh, really?
not twice.
No.
Kept happening.
It kept happening. The clip wasn't catching my belt.
Sure.
It just was coming right over it. And so I had to go through this whole qual like that. And people were just dying. They're just laughing, the instructors.
Now, I'm just throwing rounds all over the place. I'm laughing
Yeah.
so hard every time
Oh,
it comes
sure.
up.
Yeah.
I get
So-
to see it out of my peripheral. I'm like, oh my God.
So the range guys are laughing. Everybody's laughing, right? We got officers who have absolutely no idea who we are, who are going, what the fuck are these guys doing? These guys are SWAT cops. And I'm actually doing really well, But so when I won this, I was like, oh, but then I saw your clip, and that's great. But here's my question with appendix carry. I have a fear of blowing something off that I don't
Yeah.
want to blow off.
Yep.
Is that common? Did you consider that?
Well,
How
I think
does-
I think that's a fear in all of us, men. First
Yeah.
of all, I carry this. I
Absolutely.
carry mine appendix as well, but I can honestly say, in the history of 13 years and hundreds of thousands of holsters that we've sold, there's never been that issue. Personally, I would have to say the only way that there could be that issue is not on the holster standpoint. It would be from your shirt or something getting shoved down in with the holster that is obviously going to be pulling that particular trigger.
To answer your question though, you did win an appendix style holster, but we make that holster remove the wing, which we sell all of our accessories separate. We actually have a wing removal kit
Okay.
that is $4, and it's all the hardware and a QR code with a little video that would show you how to remove the wing and just have it be a standard holster without the wing. The wing is what makes it appendix because
Yeah.
it really helps with concealment. If you don't want to wear it in the appendix position, we make all of our holsters can be worn in any position on the body. And we do make inside and outside the waistband styles, right and left-handed. We cover it all. So we're not just making appendix style holsters. We just make holsters that can also be worn in the appendix position. A lot of people are uncomfortable with that carry position. We have people, you can take that holster with that ulti clip and spin it any position on your body and it will function just the same. The wing is just what makes it a little appendix.
Got it. Yep, got it. And I
And
love
we
the
could
wing.
send you, because we could send you a kit to remove that wing. It's really easy to do, and it just removes the long screws and gives you short screws, and then you can put it anywhere you want. So,
Got it. Nope. Actually, I was just curious about that. I've actually
Yeah.
kind of grown fond of the appendix holster,
okay. Yeah.
other than when I'm sitting. Because I don't know if
Uh-huh,
anybody
sure.
knows, but
Yeah.
when you're sitting,
Yeah.
we are violating that one rule of never cover anything you're not willing to destroy.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
I know.
that's right. Yeah.
But it has really turned me into a gentle driver.
Yeah. And a very careful reholster. It's really important to get your gun out quickly, but you don't actually have to go super fast back into the holster until you can
That
lean
is
back
actually
a little and reholster.
that is actually such a great point that you brought
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the benefits about Kydex over like leather and some of the other stuff, unless you have something like and I've seen them like the structured leather ones that maybe have Kydex built in, and then it's covered in leather, that type of thing is the reholstering aspect,
Yeah.
because regardless, and we've taught classes, for off-duty carry and stuff. And, that's one of the things is like, you got to be able to reholster your weapon. If for whatever reason, your potentially lethal encounter now is no longer a lethal encounter, you got to be able to do something, you got to be able to do something with your holster. And that's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of some of the other concealed carry products out there, because you can't reholster.
Yeah. Holster will collapse, or the sweat guard or the leather piece will fold over because maybe their gut, and then you'll see the guys on the range and they're literally like almost like stirring there, trying to find their holster or whatever it is with the barrel of their gun, trying to feed it into there, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to see the accidental or negligent discharges, because first of all, when you're sticking your other hand in there to holster your weapon, trying to, create that opening to get that weapon back into a collapsed holster, there's the high potential you're going to get a finger within the trigger guard at some point, or catch something from that holster in the trigger guard as you're pushing down. And yeah, it's not going to be good.
No.
So I like this holster. So I've been practicing with it and using it on the range. And I will tell you, this one's so much better because it doesn't come out of my pants.
Good. We're glad to hear that.
So what else are you guys doing with this though? What are you making? Just holsters? Are you going to branch out to something else?
We've had the ability to make a lot of different products for different companies, just being in the Kydex space. And so there's been a lot of products that we've developed for people and then manufactured for them. It could be anything from knife sheaths to GPS things, or carriers to radio holders. And so it really gets it out there of all the different areas that we've accomplished things in. But what we specialize in for ourselves, and what we tried to stay very true, is what we know, and being very intentional in that. And so we're staying just in that whole, I bet we've turned away $2 million companies by not making knife sheaths. But guess what? I'm not a knife guy. And I don't want to be able to sit here and go, I know how a guy who's carrying a knife and this is what it's going to feel like, all that kind of stuff. I know holsters. I know she knows holsters. And so that's where, not saying that we haven't manufactured them for other companies, but for our company, we stayed very specific into what is comfortable for us. What do we like, and what we know, which is just in this holster side of things, and we sort of stay in our lane. So I think it's been good for us so far.
We have we brought the Eclipse side and then broadened into a company that we started together called Holster Builder, which is all the supplies that a holster or knife maker would need to make those materials. So we, out on our shop floor, we have an entire section that's all supplies, and we're supplying other holster makers with the parts and pieces that they need, which is giving me the best margins in the industry. It's actually really brilliant market, or for our companies. We just kind of accidentally started that business too. And then in our growth, the way we cut and press is very unique to us, and we're using 8 CNC machines. Well, to keep those machines busy and our employees busy, like he said, we're taking on projects where we're making 4,000 or 6,000, of the same thing that we're doing for another company. We're white labeling for them. We're making other companies' products, and then we're shipping them in bulk to that company, or we ship them out of here with their logo and their label. And so we have found ways to kind of expand, but not necessarily off of the Eclipse front. It's just as we learned that we've got a really good process, and we've got really great machines, and we've got all the inventory on our floor. And so it's really blessed us and blessed our employees by we've got stuff coming in all the time that we get to be working on that might not be a concealed carry holster.
So you started additional side hustles to your original side
hustles. We're side hustling on the side hustles.
We are, I can honestly say, after 13 years, we are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Through and through, constantly.
Absolutely.
Build the next thing, whatever it is. So.
The fact that everything you talk about is preceded with accidentally
I mean,
is fun, but
Yeah, we sit there, we go on vacation, we're like, ooh, we get 2 days of quiet, and then we're like, maybe we should start another, maybe we should turn that into a business. Maybe we should, you know. But we do love, I think that's what we love the most is not having to work for somebody else, getting to dream together, build together, create together. And we do that well. And so, yeah, however, that can now fit into this building and keep our employees going and keep the machines that we've spent so much on. Let's keep them fed. Let's keep them going. So a lot of it has to do with Kydex now.
that's wonderful.
That's
So
awesome.
So Joseph, when you guys fell into this accidental business, right, and started accidentally making holsters, okay, you said you called it your Frankenstein, your first model, right? Your Frankenstein model. First of all, I got to ask, do you still have it?
Yeah.
We do.
Is it framed?
We're gonna keep it in like a glass case. It's gonna be on display at our museum. You know what I mean?
This is back when I think it was Travis Haley that like made Kydex cool because he got it in Coyote Brown or something, went to the range. This is right at that time where people were like, I don't know what Kydex is. But there were no belt loops that you could buy. My belt loops on my first holster are it's a thicker piece of Kydex that I cut into strips and then I heated it to make it round and drilled holes in it to put it on. That's what this holster is. I don't think it looks so bad, but it holds the gun really well, actually. It functions. Yeah.
You know what? Sometimes ugly's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It obviously
Not always bad.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at him. He's been successful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so what did when you guys decided that the Frankenstein model wasn't going to work for you, which I think you really should put out as a line because some people really are into that funkiness, right? But when you decided that that wasn't going to work for you, you've been a firearms instructor for, I think you said 20 years, right? So what did you start doing? What did you sit down and say, okay, this is what I want in a holster. This is what's important. This is what we want to get rid of because everybody does this and it's worthless.
Yeah, I think where there's so many different significant events, I would say, I'll preface this, and I would say our biggest superpower is that we pivot and find a way somehow. And what I mean by that is that what you'll see in business and anytime you have this new idea is you're going to come up to a roadblock really fast. I mean, the roadblock could be like, I think I have the greatest product, but nobody's buying it. Right. Or it could be like, I have this product and people are buying it, but they're all telling me it's crap. Right. And so your ability to be able to pivot and change and constantly sort of shift with all those things are really crucial as far as into making a successful thing. And so in the beginning, it was just that. I think it was, you're at the range or you're hearing feedback and you might have heard that, hey, when I go down to holster or I'm grabbing my gun, I'm getting a callus on my middle finger here because it's touching some piece of plastic, right? And maybe from her or our standpoint, we're like, well, that's a really cool artistic flair to it. And versus being able to pivot and go, no, do we actually need that from a functionality of that particular holster and cutting that off, right? And so those things happened early on of just trying to perfect the product. And then we shifted into, we had a good product, but then all of a sudden we didn't have enough time, right? And so now all of a sudden it was like, okay, now you have the product, but these orders are coming in. And our process was horrible, meaning it would take hours upon hours. And what I mean by that is that right now we can manufacture a holster from scratch to shipping in under 9 minutes. All right. So that's how fast we can manufacture a holster right now.
Wow.
Now, mind you, when I'm talking about, if you rewind it all the way back to this next sort of phase, all of a sudden that same holster might have taken us 5 hours or 6 hours. We might have thrown 3 of them in the trash, and it was all hands-on, only I can do it type of thing. And you couldn't necessarily bring in an employee because I'm the only one that knows how to do this type of thing, and very, very time consuming. So that was like another shift in our business, was all of a sudden going, man, Because I remember sort of I hate to say it, but we'd be in a lot of arguments. Like I'd be saying to her, there has to be a faster way of doing this. And she'd be like, there's no faster way to do this. Right?
Or I didn't have the capacity to stretch my brain to even understand what would be faster.
Mhm.
I didn't see it enough. I had no business making guns or holsters for Glocks because they were not all Glocks. And I was like, the learning was so massive at the beginning that you don't even know to look around. And so, yeah. Like heating Kydex in a toaster oven. I mean, that would take sometimes like 30 minutes. And then if you go 1 degree over, it shrinks and gets shiny and you have to throw it in the trash. And then I don't know how many years it was before we started heating Kydex in a t-shirt press. That thing can keep temperature all day. It can have your Kydex heated solid, totally the same in 60 seconds.
Mhm.
That was like, took hours out of the day. And I don't know, just little things like that. So
yeah. So I think it's just each one of those little phases are the things that end
Yeah.
up switching, because then you get the process down, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we have this great thing, but you don't have the people. So then you have to shift your brain into how do you market this thing and how do you get that out there to people. So all these little things I would say is like its own little Frankenstein that you're constantly trying to make a little bit better and shift and pivot based on what is the actual problem that you're seeing, because the problem back here may be what is trying to make a really good product, but then the next 10 problems that you have in front of that have nothing to do with the product.
Yeah.
It has to do with all these other stages of business.
I know something that I had to learn the hard way, because I didn't know that when you go to grab your gun, you do not want your finger to touch Kydex. I mean, mine would just be spilling over the edge. That was one. And then people's mags were getting released, not when you wanted it to. So the Kydex was hitting the mag release,
Yeah.
and people's mags were dropping. And I was having people say, hey,
Yeah.
totally embarrassingly was walking in the grocery store, a full mag dropped to the floor. So then I think additionally too, I would feel crushed for like 3 days. I was like crushed for 3 days.
It's like making fun of her child or something.
Yeah, and then I'm like, I gotta figure this out. So then, and that's just sort of how we changed the holster, and then the process, and then yeah.
So what is in store for Eclipse holsters now? So I mean, you guys are obviously, really out there and starting to put out a lot of products. So where do you go from here?
Marketing.
I will spell that.
Yeah.
Let me take this. one.
Okay, go.
I'm excited about our brand. So I'll say this with 100% confidence. We are the only company in the entire nation that can make a custom holster and ship it to you in 3 business days or less. There's not a
Really?
single company. Now, there are plenty of companies out there that can sell you, like if you ordered a black holster today, is it going to ship from Amazon and come to you? Absolutely. But if you said to me right now, I'd like a blue holster with pink rivets and this style clip, and I want it to be left-handed, most places, or I shouldn't say, I'll just say every place except Eclipse is going to say, here's our lead time, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, or whatever it is. So not only are we the fastest company out there in regards to manufacturing a custom-made holster, we are the first company that we just launched here recently with a kiosk, and this is going to be going into to gun stores. So what that means is that what you're going to see, your sea of black holsters on a wall, and then there's going to be a kiosk that's going to be sitting right in front of there, so that if you're there and you're like, man, I really like this holster, but maybe you want that polka dot print or your favorite color or camouflage or something like that, you have the ability through that touch screen to be able to hit order, swipe your card, and within 3 days you're going to receive that same holster that you're seeing in black, but it's going to be whatever color or configuration that you guys need at your door. So that's our newest thing that we're launching here this year. And those 2 things alone, there's not a single brand out there that's doing those. So those are 2 things that I'm super proud of.
Yeah,
awesome.
and then we spend the majority of our day trying to figure out how to tell people that we have a product that's really amazing. So like to your point, you had not heard of Eclipse holsters. So we could have the best product, the best process, the best people, which we do.
But if people don't know,
So many people don't know. That's our biggest thing today. We just got off our 1 hour long meeting with our marketing team of, we can't say it enough, we can't tell it enough. And we get our customers on our own website, and the number one question is, what's your lead time? And it is written in so obvious and so bold and so big that people don't know we ship everything in 3 days or less. So big things for us, as long as we can Just
Yep.
find ways to
Yeah,
tell people.
I think that's a great example.
Yeah.
That's our next pivot is how do you tell as many people as you
Mhm.
possibly can? So that's where
Oh,
we're at.
These
First
podcasts
of all,
somehow.
you go on to a podcast with
That's
three
right.
three followers.
Yep. Yes.
I'm joking.
It's all right. It's all
Because
right.
that's
You know,
three more people, right? Three more
Perfect.
people who know.
tell me if you guys already know this or not. And if you don't know this, I'm giving you guys here's my encouragement that you'll go at least to episode 11. But they said I think the category is like 70 to or 80% of all podcasts fail because they never even reach to episode 10. And the reason for it is because they get discouraged after 4 or 5 or 6 that they didn't have the follower count that they wanted or they didn't see the views that they wanted. And so they end up turning that particular podcast off. And so
Just
just
way past 11. This is like
oh, okay.
12 at least. Not kidding.
So I'm just
Oh
encouraged,
yeah.
keep it going because you have no idea. But if you would have seen our accounts over the years, it was like, look at that, we got a like. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think I think we're well on our way here.
Yeah,
And the good thing is we're too old to really understand what, the amount of views or likes.
Analytics or something perfect.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure my, my 16-year-old daughter will let me know, like, Dad, you need to like increase your views or something like this.
Yeah.
This is pretty sad,
Yeah.
whatever. But
My two daughters, they're social media
oh yeah.
That's how our
experts.
kids are. They
Yeah.
brought us into the
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I loved what you were talking about earlier when you're talking about your kids. You're now at an age where you don't have to parent, right? You're creating people you want to actually be around, right? You
Yeah.
created people that you actually
Right.
want to be around. That's kind of where we're at. Definitely for me. So my two daughters are both grown. One lives in London, one lives in Fort Collins. But we have this group chat that they nicknamed the old people who raised us.
Okay.
And we chat all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Our kids, ours is called Big Heads because of this hazel R head that all of them got. They said
I was I staring?
You could've.
Was I staring?
I don't think so.
No, I didn't.
You're good.
I
I think you're good.
I just kept looking. No, I'm joking. So, tell us about your career, Joseph. You were Alaska State Police, right?
I was, yep.
That's
And yeah, you'd have to think of a lot because anytime you think, the only way I can articulate it to anybody in the lower 48 is that we don't have sheriffs up there. So a state trooper in Alaska is really just a statewide sheriff. As you can imagine, we don't have a whole lot of highways, right? And so most states in the lower think when you say state trooper, they think of the guy with the radar, whatever it is. And I think I wrote about 10 tickets my whole career as far as from a traffic standpoint, whatever. So you're just a statewide sheriff, if that makes sense.
got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where were you stationed out of? Where was your home
that
station?
was very boring. Tell them the cool stuff. You were
Yeah,
on
tell us the cool stuff. We want to.
K9.
Oh, yeah.
We
Oh,
lived in a
yeah.
village. We lived on
Oh,
an
yeah,
island.
yeah. Okay, so the neat thing about Alaska is from a logistics standpoint, it truly is a wild, wild west. And here we are in 2025. I would say technology wise, from a law enforcement standpoint, and maybe even tactically, Alaska is always going to be about 15 years like ancient times compared to what you guys were probably doing, right? Which came with its own, sort of like bad traits, right? But from like if you think of it like how you just did law enforcement out there, you didn't have radio communication. You're being helicoptered into a location of a village where you're the only piece of law enforcement there. You had keys to a school that you would stay in with a sleeping mat, and then you get on the VHF radio and you tell the village, all right, I'm here for the next 2 days. Come at me with whatever your crimes. And then they would line up and then they would report whatever their crimes were. And then when you would arrest somebody, you'd lock them up into like a closet somewhere there because into the school. And this is how remote Alaska is, some of these places, right? And then you'd wait for the plane or the helicopters to come back around, scoop you up, whatever it is, and you rinse and repeat. And so don't get me wrong, you have communities that are 500,000 that would have the regular urban character traits that a bigger city would have. But the vast majority of Alaska are very remote, small communities of a couple thousand people, and they don't have any law enforcement. And so we would live in villages, and each trooper would be in charge of, say, 9 or 10 villages of his own, and he is the only face of law enforcement for those communities for the time that he's stationed there. So most times your rotation is 2 or 3 years that you'd be there. And so you would sort of gain a rapport based on who you were, and what you would get out of the community was really based on your rapport. So very old school methodology of like how you did law enforcement. There was no Gestapo like tactics of like, I come in here and because I said so, you're going to do it. It was very political, very like you had to learn to sort of protect yourself because you couldn't just call for backup. I mean, you were getting helicoptered in. I mean, it was like a very strange thing. So
3 troopers for the whole state of Alaska,
300 troopers for the
for the
entire
state. So
Oh
his
my
backup was
God.
literally,
Yeah. So then if you took Alaska and painted it over America, you're talking about 3/4 of America. I mean, it's 2.5 times the size of Texas, and so there's only 300 troopers there. For the whole
That's
place.
crazy. That is crazy.
Jeez.
Well,
So, yeah,
now
lots
I
of-
understand why you're a firearms instructor.
Yeah, so lots of wild stories in those categories. But I had the opportunity to be a canine handler and
Yeah.
be a part of, what we called our SWAT teams and stuff like that. Whatever, if you want to call those them.
We had that picture hanging in his office. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
sure.
sure.
This one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
Yeah,
canine
I was a
point.
canine guy too.
Okay, yeah. And
Yeah.
so so I did that was one of the perks of being a trooper up there was you could really sort of change your job function about every couple of years if you wanted to, because there was just so many different facets, right? And so I can go into I even worked with the DEA as a task force officer for about 4 years. Went over the FBI. I was a canine handler, did drugs. I did you name it. I was just sort of bouncing all over the place. So for a guy like me that gets bored of things pretty quickly, it was perfect in that realm of like,
Oh, nice.
like, okay, I sampled that, now I'm going to go over and do this other thing over here. So yeah.
Very nice.
Wow, that's cool.
That's interesting. So I'm assuming that you guys are familiar with bears
Just a pinch. Yeah, just a
And
pinch.
moose.
and moose.
I'll bet.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually, I mean, it's really cool to be in Alaska. It's really cool to be a local there because we get to see the things that people try to travel once a year and in 1 week try to take it all in. And I have never been any place like it. And we love being in America. That's what I call it. Everyone's like, isn't Alaska part of America? I'm like, yeah, until you're there. And it doesn't feel like America. But to go back, it is. There's no place like it. It's pretty incredible.
Nice.
So do you have
That's very cool.
so you have to tell me now, you have to have a market in Alaska. All the people you worked with, right? Those have got to be buying your holsters.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have a pretty good
Yeah.
foothold there, whatever it is. But yeah, like all things, I mean, you guys sort of see it when your own feed on social media, like you're just being bombarded with people wanting to sell you something, right?
Mm.
Oh yeah.
And that's been the thing that we've encountered probably just in the last 3 or 4 years is everybody's vying for people's attention. And so
Yeah.
how do you get it, right? And so yes, do I feel like we still have a foothold? I think we do, but it's
do.
definitely not as big as I think in some of our other states, but there's very small population.
And then all of our law enforcement friends have, kind of
Retired.
rotated and retired. And I was just in Alaska 2 weeks ago. Fairbanks is our home city where my family still lives. And they have one really large gun store in the city. And I walked in with our kiosk. And I thought, oh, maybe somebody in here will recognize nobody knew the branding. Nobody had ever heard of Eclipse. Nobody knew, not that they need to know who I am, but just like, hey, I'm here from Eclipse. Nothing. Dead. Which was like, crap. I was hoping somebody would be like, I have an Eclipse. So that's, I feel like we should own that town, but you just have to, yeah, like anything, there's just, it's not oversaturated. There are not enough holster makers for gun owners. And so
Yeah.
really we're in competition just with ourselves. But like, that was a little challenge. Like, well, okay, how do I get my stuff? I told them, surely I should be the company you recommend because I'm an Alaskan girl and I can get it to you in 5 days, not 3 to Alaska, but 5. And he's like, our holster maker here takes them 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm like, well, at least I can change that for you. So yeah.
Nice.
I would have thought, I've been to Alaska once.
On a cruise.
Yeah, that's about it. Because
I don't know if that counts, dude.
Well, sure it counts. It's Alaska,
Good
dude.
way to see it.
It's Alaska. It's like sailing into San Francisco. You're still in San Francisco.
But you're viewing it from the ocean.
Dude. Okay. Anyway, it's never been on my bucket list after 30 days of night. I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
trust me, those dark nights in the wintertime, that's what forced us to get out of Alaska. We were tired of cold and dark. So
Yeah, that's just not for me. I can't do that. And then when the movie 30 Days of Night with the vampires came out, see, I knew there was a problem up there. So I'm not going. So
Yeah, Alaska is where people go to hide for sure. There's some.
Oh yeah.
have you
Nice.
been?
some wackadoos up there. That's for sure.
I have, but I was at, I don't know, what's the Air Force base there? What's the Air Force base there? I can't remember.
Eielson or Elmendorf?
Elmendorf. Flew him to Elmendorf for a few days,
Did you leave the base?
and then, but that was like on the way to Korea. So
Did you?
no,
So you haven't been?
No,
to
I just-
Alaska? You just flew in an airport. So
well, I'm just saying, hey, at least I'm like, no, I stayed at an Air Force base and just ate at the chow hall before we went to Korea. You know, so we stocked up on quality food before we had to go eat MREs for like 30 days.
I got off the boat and I went into Alaska. I can't even remember. We went and did a river raft and did a bunch of things at one of the glaciers in Alaska. So I actually got into Alaska.
Okay.
Kind of got off the boat. Yeah. But then when
Whatever.
I saw bear tracks, I was like, yeah, not gonna happen.
Time leave.
It is time to leave.
Time to
I
leave.
don't like bears.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them in the zoo. I don't like them in the wild. Moose, we see a lot of moose. We have bears here, but I'm definitely not Daniel Boone.
No,
So I'm never going to be.
no.
So do you guys for this holster? Okay. I'm just going to talk about this holster for a second. Okay. Do you make this holsters a companion to it of like mags pouches and stuff?
Yep.
You do.
I would say 99% of the guns that we have on our list, we make mag pouches for. The only exception are the teeny tiny, like the LCP.
Okay.
The LCP. The mags are so small that it's easier to put it in your pocket than it is to try to wrap Kydex around it, and it's smaller than a belt attachment. So there's just there could be 5 models on our whole site that do not have a mag pouch that's available for it, but everything else, and they can be worn inside or outside the waistband. They have the same attachment. You could choose that attachment, that ulti-clip. So your mag pouch could have that same, or there's 2 other options. But yes, we do.
So if I
Not
want
attached though. We don't ever make them. The one that everybody loves is the sidecar. And we just
Oh,
don't.
I don't think so.
You can put
Because
them
I like
both side by side.
adjusting.
Just,
I
yes.
like to adjust mine the way it is because I don't like it to be right where only in one spot. I like so I look like I came out of a concentration camp. So it's I don't have a lot of room to.
I feel like that's just putting way too much in one
Yeah.
spot. I have never tried one, but I just feel like, yeah, that's, wearing an appendix holster can be uncomfortable as it is when you're, depending on what you're doing and if you're sitting down for an extended period of time or something like that. But adding that onto it,
You need to get
is kind of insane.
you need to get
you
an
know.
Eclipse holster.
I will. I'm going to steal yours for a little bit.
I think I just had to send you guys one with some mag pouches.
Hey, you want to send us something to T&E? I'll give you
Yeah.
great back feedback
I was
because
going to ask you what police department are you guys a part of, or were you guys a part of?
so we're in Denver, Colorado. We were with Commerce City Police Department here. So
So
Right
something
in the
that we often love to do as well. Some police departments allow it, some police departments don't. But we would love to, if you still have connections with your chief or anybody there at the academy, we would love to donate a free holster to every new recruit that's coming on to the police department.
Oh,
Usually that's a big deal for recruits, is they're pretty cheap on money and they're already getting sort of not paid that much. And so most of them don't have an off-duty holster to be able to carry. And we've been doing that all over Texas, Arizona. My son's a border patrol agent and things
Did
like that.
Alaska.
California. And so if your department would allow it, it's again, we're not asking for anything in return. It's just a donation from us, sort of giving back to a community that we used to serve. And we would love to donate free holsters to new academy recruits. So,
well, I will tell you this. We have connections in a lot of departments
yeah.
in Denver, and I'm happy to put that out there. But you being a cop, if it's free, it's for me.
I know all I ask is that it's for the police recruits.
That
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Not saying that, yeah, I mean, trust me, I can see myself being in the academy, like, hey, put an extra one in there for me, whatever it is. And those things I'm sure happen. But really our heart is for the new recruit that's coming out. And anyways, and I know that might sound like a large number, but it's not a large number to us. So if it is something that can help them, we have some departments that literally come back every academy class and give us a new roster of, hey, these people, this many right-handed and this many left-handed. So
Yeah, usually it's
Wonderful.
block or SIG or
yeah, they're
I
all
mean, it's
really
good.
easy. Yeah.
So a lot of times even the Glock with a TLR1. So there's some things, as long as it's on our site, we can do it. You do them all black and just kind of simple, but
Right on.
wonderful. So
Yeah.
speaking
We can
of
reach out to our
your
teams.
site,
For
how
sure.
how do people reach out to you?
well, eclipseholsters.com is our website, and that is where you'll see, the holsters. We have a pretty cool website that we just recently finished, and it was a lot of work, but it is one of those like interactive sites where we have a custom builder. You pull up, you start with your style of holster. So inside the waistband, you're going to get an instant image of the inside the waistband. And then you get to scroll over all of our colors, all of our patterns. As you touch the color or pattern, the holster changes to that color or pattern. So you're like getting an actual visual of the holster that you're going to order from us. And it's customizable all with the belt attachment. I would say 95% of them we have in left-hand options too, and we're just adding more continuously. So the belt attachment, you get to change your color of washer. So it's customizable all the way down to that for all inside, outside the waistband holsters. On there, you'll see our contact information. We leave our phone number, our email address, info@eclipseholsters.com. We are on it. Our customer service, we probably push that more than anything of like, we love our customers and we're always paying attention. So if there's ever a question, comments, anything, we're here to help. I remember what it felt like to order my first holster and I had no clue what a sweat guard was. I thought I had a Glock. So we've trained our staff with that same heart of there's no dumb question, there's no wrong question. They're here to help. And then we are super active on social media just because we're always showing behind the scenes. And so Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, you can find us everywhere. And we love to get interaction on there as well. But we're easy to find if you know the name of the company. And then we're always here to help. We also have a lifetime guarantee. We also never want to be the holster at the bottom of your holster box. If you don't like it, we'll take it back. You can swap it out or you'll just get a refund. And we're just so consistent on all of those things every time because we truly do care. We care about our reputation. We care about the integrity of our products, and we really care about our customers. So.
Wonderful.
Nice.
Absolutely. So those of you watching our show here, eclipseholsters.com, go on, choose your funky colors and
Okay.
bring out your personality.
To this day, our number one holster that's sold is a Deadpool riding a unicorn in baby blue, and he's got two little guns. And for whatever reason, that is the number one popular holster. We even have some donut holsters on there for you cops as well. So
Rick's probably going to order one right now. You said Deadpool.
Going on.
Don't order. Just email us what you guys would like. That would be our pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
Just so you know, you have picked the right. Jesus. That's my phone.
We know what holster we're going to be sending.
Yeah,
so,
that's pretty cool.
Oh my God. Okay.
Definite Deadpool guy right there.
Now, you know what? Now it's like Christmas. Now I'm all excited. This is wonderful. So yes, we're going to take you up on that. We're going to also reach out to people we know. We want to get Eclipse holsters out there. It's a great product. You guys should be very proud. You've improved my shooting since I no longer shoot with a holster. So we've loved having you on here. Any parting words for the people who are watching? Anything you want to say? This is your moment.
Well, I especially because of the heart of your podcast, we'd love to say thank you to our law enforcement and military, people out there that serve. We know what it feels like to be on the serving end and the receiving end. And we're just so grateful for everybody that puts themselves in a very difficult position in life. And in law enforcement seems very ungrateful. How are the firemen the heroes and the cops are always.
Oh, you
But we
don't
just-
get me started. Don't
Yeah,
get me
so
started.
we truly honor and respect you and thank you for what you do. And that
Yeah, and with that being said, come on the site. We have a GovX code there. If you guys already
Oh,
have
nice.
that, but come and get 20% off of anything that you guys shop with.
Nice.
And
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you
And,
very much.
There you go, guys.
Holster.
Eclipse Holsters.
Party words. Yeah.
That's right. Eclipse
Yeah.
Holsters supporting law enforcement, military. To hell with America's heroes. Just ask them the firemen. No, I'm joking. They're good guys.
They are good guys.
They are good guys. You
Yeah.
gotta be motivated by somebody who can have a total structural loss and still be high-fiving and calling it a win. I mean, come on. So, all right, guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Again, hosted by ADB. Go on to eclipseholsters.com. Order your holster today. Let us know how you think, what you think about it.